No doubt, preparing your home to sell can be a very overwhelming and stressful task, but especially when you're trying to figure out what improvements are worth the time and the money. So the good news is, well, you don't have to go it alone any longer now that ChatGPT is available 24/7. So ChatGPT can actually help provide a list of cost-effective updates, return on investment, a breakdown of the costs of do-it-yourself versus using a contractor, as well as a virtual mock-up of what it will look like when it's all done. Now, I'm actually going to walk you through the entire process so you'll see exactly how that's going to look like. Now, I was somewhat skeptical of what to expect, but after seeing some early results, I was pretty amazed by what I was seeing. So, I started off with a pretty easy request to begin with, a home that we're actually getting ready to put on the market. So the seller needed some paint suggestions, and I had asked my team interior decorator for some color suggestions for the interior and the exterior. Now, since the cabinets in the kitchen were actually getting worn and actually dated, I asked her for some color options that would go well with the existing granite countertop. So she pulled out her color palette and decided that the Dunn Edwards Miner's Dust would be the best choice for the countertops. Now, I was wondering what that would look like. So I submitted a couple photos of the existing cabinets and asked ChatGPT to show me exactly what the cabinets would look like using Miner's Dust paint color. So here is the before and after look. Now, seeing the color on the cabinets with some of the updated hardware really improves the look and feel of the kitchen. It does make it much easier to imagine the finished product, what it will look like when it's all said and done when you have the after photo. So before I go on to the next photo slide, I should let you know I'm Harold Powell, local real estate agent that serves Ventura and the surrounding communities. So if you like my videos and want to stay up to date on all things real estate, well, I suggest hitting the like, subscribe, and bell icon to be notified of future content. All right, so moving on to the next photo, which is this family room shot with a pool table in it. So I let ChatGPT know that we are getting this home ready for sale, and I've attached the photo and asked, what would you suggest to get this room ready for sale? So it proceeded to give me several suggestions, and I asked it if it would give me a mock-up of the suggestions it gave me. And the results are pretty transformative from the photo I submitted compared to the virtual mock-up, which you can see. So you can see that the suggestions are pretty spot on from the mock-up. So here's what ChatGPT had suggested. Number one, repaint the walls in a light or neutral tone. Opt for modern neutrals like a soft gray, greige, or warm white to brighten up the space and create a clean canvas for buyers. Number two is declutter the room, remove the bar card and glassware. Also the artwork on the left wall, it was too personal or specific. Remove the red chairs in the foreground. They usually shrink the room. Number three, update the wall decor. Replace any artwork with neutral modern pieces like abstract art or landscape type art. But moving on to a bathroom photo, I asked for suggestions to make it appeal to buyers, and ChatGPT replied here with some focused recommendations to get the bathroom ready for sale. Overall, it said it had good structure and is clean, but a few updates could make it much more appealing to buyers. So it then listed the top priorities, which was number one, remove the wallpaper, which it highly recommended, and replace it with neutral paint like a soft beige or white, and which will actually immediately modernize the space and make it feel brighter and more spacious. Number two on the list was the tile grout cleaning or recoloring. The floor tiles look solid, but the dark grout draws eye and can feel harsh. So after that was deep clean or regrout to a lighter shade, such as gray or white, for a fresher, cleaner look. And the third was update or paint the vanity. Then it suggested some quick, low-cost staging tips, add a neutral hand towel, place a simple plant or candle or diffuser on the counter for kind of a spa-like touch, And then it suggested consider a neutral framed art piece or mirror if the wall above the toilet is visible or other angles. Next, it made the optional but strong ROI improvements, which was replace the mirror with a frame version for a more upscale look and swap out the light fixture if dated to something more modern. So after these suggestions, I asked it, what will this cost if I paint the walls white, opt to replace the vanity, and make some of these other recommended changes? Now, I won't go into it line by line, but here is the breakdown of expenses it provided, which you can take a look at. So here's a cost estimate breakdown for both essentials improvements and optional upgrades for the bathroom based on my earlier suggestions. Now, these are ballpark figures using DIY or moderate contractor rates and retail pricing from stores like Home Depot or Lowe's. So, scope for the DIY estimate for full refresh and upgrades came in between $350 to $750, and the contractor estimate was $900 to $1,500 plus dollars. And it also provided an estimate for the essential only at $160 to $310 and contractor at $500 to $900. Now, I put on my seller hat once again and decided to put ChatGPT to the real test and ask, what will the impact of doing versus not doing these improvements have on the sale of a $800,000 property? Well, it gave me a bit of a guarded response initially, saying the impact of these upgrades on the sale price of an $800,000 property depends on the local market conditions, buyer expectations, and how competitive your home is relative to others, which is all very true. But it did then proceed to provide a breakdown of how this could play out. So it starts with, if you do the suggested bathroom updates, then you can expect your ROI or return on investment could raise your sale by as much as $10,000 to maybe $25,000 and prevent a price reduction during negotiation. More importantly, they may help attract the buyers online with better listing photos, reduce the time on market. Now, in our next test, I wanted to see the differences in our interior designer picks versus ChatGPT picks on the exterior of the home that we were going to be selling. So I had asked my interior designer to pick out the best color options to make the exterior much more appealing to buyers. And she had suggested the exterior color to match the stucco over the garage door, using that color on all the stucco and trim, as well as the stonework in the front of the house, and keep the fascia as is. Paint the garage door the dark brown similar to the fascia. Paint the front door an Italian basil look, which is kind of a green color. Now, with the help of ChatGPT, I requested the photo to be digitally painted, and here's what it came up with. Now, I will say that the flagstone portion that was digitally painted will definitely have more texture than the photo depicted. So I even asked if it could make it more realistic with a revision, which you can see here. It did create some texture, but it didn't really mirror the flagstone texture as well. So it definitely does provide a seller with a pretty good mock-up of what the color combinations will look like when completed. Now, what I was interested in seeing next is what suggestions ChatGPT would come up with when I submitted the original exterior. So now let's compare this to what ChatGPT came up with for the exterior suggestions to improve the curb appeal for buyers that will bring a good rate of return. And here's what the list it came up with. So it addressed the lawn and landscape areas by suggesting reseeding the front lawn, add some dark mulch to the planter beds along with some low maintenance shrubs and seasonal flowers. Now, ChatGPT did provide a breakdown of costs and improvement value. A light landscape refresh DIY style would run about $500, while paying a landscaper may run $2,500, and would potentially add $10,000 to $25,000 to the sale of the home, while a full curb appeal refresh with the exterior painting from a professional would run $5,000 plus in costs and add $25,000 to $40,000 in value. Now, I did like that it did address one of the problem areas of the pink color stone exterior. So with that, let's compare and contrast the two digital photos, the one from the designer and the one from ChatGPT as far as color goes. Now, the overall color selection was very similar. While the front door and the garage door had some different choices, I did ask the designer her opinion on the differences in paint choices, and really she felt painting the garage door will make it look much more custom, which elevates the perceived value to a buyer. She felt that the basil was a better choice than red, since red can be a love it or hate it color. So if you wanted to appeal to a bigger audience, then basil was probably a better choice. Now, we opted to go with the designer's recommendations for the exterior of this house, and I have a pretty economical painter that bid the front exterior work out at about $2,500, which was pretty close to what ChatGPT had estimated. The seller did pay to add mulch to the beds and had some gardener do some lawn maintenance. So my overall thoughts are that ChatGPT gives some very practical, sound home prep advice for would-be sellers looking for some options and examples to improve their ROI on their existing home, while at the same time our in-house interior designer was able to fine-tune some of the paint options. The estimates that ChatGPT provided actually seem pretty reasonable, but it may be on the low end depending on which contractor you use. So going forward, I opted to do the paid version to help my clients with ideas and suggestions, which runs about $20 a month, but it's a much faster response time. So if you are a client, you can always submit a photo to me via email, and I can submit it to ChatGPT to get some recommendations. Otherwise, if you only submit just a few photos from your phone, you can probably get away with just using the free version. All right, I hope you found today's video helpful. If so, give it a thumbs up. Thanks.